Starting your day off with a take on Vegas you won't get anywhere else.
Hi, I'm Holly Madison, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hi, this is William Shatner, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and I listen to Brian Shapiro. Why? Because I'm a good American. So is he. And if you don't listen to him, you need to pack up and leave this country.
This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Come on, guys!
Oh, yeah. What's up, everybody? It's Vegas Take time. So glad you could join us. It's Hump Day. Yeah, it's Wednesday. That's right. Sharp and Shapiro back at you. A lot of fun. A lot of stuff to get to tonight. As always, we always have fun on this show, right? Coming up here in about, 25 minutes or so, I would say. I sounded like Andrew Dice Clay there for a second. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, Michael Avenatti will be joining us. Always fun talking with him, and we have a lot to get to with Mr. Avenatti. A lot of stuff in the news to talk about, including this Michael Wolff book that just came out, Siege. And Michael Avenatti is spoken about in this book. We will get to that with Mr. Avenatti coming up here in just about 20, 25 minutes or so. Also, UNLV basketball, they have released their out-of-conference complete schedule. We will talk about that. And a very interesting 911 call that was finally released in the Jussie Smollett case. We will get to that coming up in hour number 2 as well. Plenty of stuff to get to, as I mentioned, including this ridiculous abortion bill that was almost passed in North Carolina. Just absolute absurdity. But first, let's start with, my favorite topic, right? My favorite person to talk about, that is Mr. Donald Trump himself. Oh, and I have this thing, too. This is great. I love it. It's just this little thing that Ken Thompson gave me. It's got all these noises that you can use on the show. It's great. I love it. It's fantastic. So I'll be using it from time to time.
There's nothing I love more than meaningless onomatopoeia.
It's great. I love it.
Especially when it's totally irrelevant. It's perfect.
It's completely irrelevant. Every single time I mention this name, Donald Trump, during the show, I'm going to play that audio, okay? I'm just letting you know. I'm going to do that. Speaking of audio, so Donald Trump did an interview with Piers Morgan. I'm not a big Piers Morgan guy. I think he throws a lot of softballs. I think there's a reason why he was fired from CNN, because nobody was watching. Nobody was watching his show. He threw a lot of softballs to Donald Trump, but he asked Donald Trump if he regrets not serving during Vietnam. And if you recall, he had his, made-up bone spurs, and that's why he didn't serve. So I want to play for you this response and reasoning in regards to the war in Vietnam and if Donald Trump regrets not serving.
Well, I was never a fan of that war, I'll be honest with you. I thought it was a terrible war. I thought it was very far away. Nobody ever, you're talking about Vietnam, and at that time, nobody ever heard of the country. Today, they're doing very well. In fact, on trade, they are brutal.
Would you like to serve generally, perhaps in another?
I would not have minded that at all. I would have been honored, but I think I make up for it right now. Look, $700 billion I gave last year, and then this year $716 billion. And I think I'm making up for it rapidly.
But do you personally...
So there is so much to get to in that audio. First of all, he's making up for the fact, he thinks he can make up for the fact that he didn't serve because he's a coward. He's making up for it by saying he's funding the military. So that makes up for the fact he didn't serve, number one. Number two, what are you saying when you say, well, Vietnam, it was very far? Do you think the men and women that serve this country honorably want to go to Iraq or Afghanistan? You think they enjoy going there? And you think the reason why they wouldn't go there is because, no, that war, it's too far away. How about all the men and women that are not for, say the war in Iraq, for example? I guarantee you there's many people that serve and they have personal beliefs that they didn't believe in the war, but guess what? They still served. They still fought. This guy just makes himself like a complete ass, sounds like a complete ass when it comes to this topic, and many others, by the way. He was asked about John McCain and many others as well, and he repeated what he said about John McCain, that he was not a fan of John McCain, who since passed away 8 months ago. This is Donald Trump's excuse. He thinks if you dodge the military and you're a coward, which is exactly what he did with his supposed bone spurs, that he's made up for it because he funds the military, which, by the way, any president should do. That's an excuse for not serving? I mean, this interview is just unbelievable. It's incredible. And then he was asked about retweeting organizations that are, white supremacists that support white supremacy and anti, Semites and that sort of thing. And, he said, well, I didn't know much about it. I didn't know much about those organizations. Well, then why did you retweet it then? You're the president of the United States. Shouldn't you do a little homework before you retweet somebody? Just because it might sound favorable to you? He's retweeting organizations that are white supremacists. And what do you think about that? What do you think about President of the United States basically saying that he's making up for not serving and going over to Vietnam? And the reason why he's doing that is because he funds the military. JD, do you think that is a fair response? A fair excuse?
It's definitely a Donald Trump-esque response. I don't know if it's fair or not fair. He's definitely spent more, and he's made a more conscious effort to fund the military than the previous president did, and several presidents before him, and he's definitely making that statement here.
What about that Vietnam was, quote, far away? That's what he said. I'm not making this up.
He did say that. That isn't a lie. You can't call him a liar because it is far away.
Is that an excuse for not serving because a war might be far away? I mean, it is funny. It's outrageous, and it's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. Hold on. There's sound of my IQ is huge. Sorry, I had to play that. It's my little Donald Trump talker. No, but seriously, is that an excuse for not serving? Maybe some of you out there that are Trump supporters might think it is. Think it totally fine for the president to say that the war in Vietnam was, quote, too far away and that he's funding the military and that should make up for everything. I'll open up the phone lines. Number to call, 257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the program, 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's start with Gary. Gary, what's up?
Why, hello.
Hello, Gary.
Again, we meet again.
Hi, Gary.
What's up, Gary?
Hello, JD.
Okay, go ahead.
Listen, you guys.
Yes.
You keep cutting me off. I would like to talk about Howard Stern and how funny.
We're not talking about Howard Stern. We're talking about Donald Trump.
All right. We're talking about Donald Trump. We'll talk about anti-Semitism.
Okay, we can talk about that. Yes.
Why don't we talk about Ted Turner, who wants to see people lined up against a wall and shot? And I agree with that. And that goes with radio stations that own these radio stations.
You want owners?
You want
owners of radio stations shot? Is that what you just said?
I'm a fascist. Yes, I would.
Why would you say something like that? Why? Why would you want an owner of a business shot? Why on earth would you say something that ludicrous? Why would you say that?
Because I'm ludicrous. Okay.
All right.
I'm sick and tired.
Wait, you're the rapper? You're ludicrous?
My speech being infringed on. My freedom of speech. I can't even talk and have freedom of speech.
You have freedom of speech.
Cutting me off.
Well, wait a second, though, Gary. First of all, I've let you speak. Second of all, you just said that you want owners of radio stations shot. You do realize that is a serious thing you just said, and it is a ridiculous thing. Why would you want an owner of a business shot? Why would you say something like that?
I got a good friend in the FBI, and they got a file on you, and you're not 39 years old.
Right.
You're 50 years old, and
all
you
right.
want to date 20-year-old women.
All right. Thank you very much for the phone call.
Gary, that was your best call ever.
Wait. That was a terrible
Gary,
call.
you probably called in our show 75 times, and that was number one.
257-5396. Let's go to Dave. Dave, what's up?
Hey, Dave.
Yeah, Brian. As far as Trump getting out of going to Vietnam,
yes,
everybody, all of us did. I mean, I had a college deferment and a high lottery number. I mean, nobody wanted to go over there and get their leg blown off.
Yeah, but if everybody had that attitude to make something up like bone spurs, then nobody would have fought a war. Nobody would be serving our country. And he makes the excuse.
Do you know for a fact that he made that?
Well,
up,
the doctor who wrote that up, his family has pretty much, they've said it in interviews that the doctor made it up because he was a personal friend. So yes, I believe them.
Bone spurs I have, and you can see them. I mean, it's not like a big secret. They stick out on your heel. But, the thing is, nobody wanted to go over there. Everybody wanted to get out of that.
Look, it's not fun to be, risking your life. Nobody said it was fun to go fight a war. No. Nobody said it was fun to risk your life and to go after the enemy. No, I never said that was fun, but there are many heroes in this country, men and women, who serve this country honorably, and Donald Trump is not one of them. And then to make an excuse for it, he says, quote, this is what he said. He said, well, I'm funding the military. I'm making up for it. That is an insane comment that he made.
Well, a lot of people didn't agree with the Vietnam War. It was unwise.
I don't have a problem with that, Dave. In fact, I agree with you on that. But there's a lot of people that have fought in Iraq. There's a lot of people that have fought wars in this country that didn't agree with the war. But guess what they did? They still fought. They still served their country honorably.
Yeah, and I have the highest regard for them.
Right. All right, fair enough. Dave, good to hear from you. Thank you very much. 257-5396, the number to call again, 702-257-5396. Kelly, what's up?
Hey, so, I don't see why it's a big deal about service. I mean, if you look at all the
what?
If you look at all the people that are running right now, I mean, outside of Buttigieg, I can't think of anyone that served.
What do you mean you don't think
Obama
it's a...
didn't serve, Biden didn't serve, Warren, Kamala Harris.
I'll tell you what Obama and Biden have never said in their life. First of all, they've never dodged the military by making up the fact that they have bone spurs, number one. Number two.
Actually, Biden does have, I can't think of it right now, but I read it the other day. Biden does have a little controversy about how he got out of serving.
Okay, I haven't heard that, Kelly. I don't know if that, but even if that is the case, Donald Trump was asked, do you regret not serving? And his response was saying that because he funded the military, he's making up for it. That is completely ridiculous.
He is doing public service right now. I mean, he's
I don't care.
For free.
I don't care if he's the public servant of the next 30 years. That doesn't make up for dodging the military and making something up that he had bone spurs to not serve.
My dad dodged Vietnam. I wouldn't be alive today, possibly, if he, had gone.
Well, your dad is also not the president of the United States, and I don't know about that situation personally, and I don't need to get into that. I can only go by what Donald Trump says. Okay, and Donald Trump is sounding like a complete buffoon when he thinks funding the military makes up for the fact that he dodged service, and then he says that Vietnam was very far away, which is another ignorant comment.
I think in that context, I think what he was trying to say was at that time, Vietnam, no one really knew what Vietnam was.
Okay, Kelly, I understand you saying that, but this is the problem with Donald Trump apologists. What you just said at the beginning of your statement, I think what he was trying to say. Do you know how many times I hear that from Donald Trump people that will support Donald Trump on no end? I think what he was trying to say, I think the context of what he was trying to say, stop it with trying to figure out what he said and let's just go by with a quote. Kelly, I appreciate the call as always, but I'm so tired of people starting out by saying, this is what Donald Trump was trying to say. Here's the context of it. God, come on, man. Let's go to Jessica. Jessica, what's up? Jessica, did we lose you? We've lost Jessica. Let's go to Brady. Brady, how's it going?
Yeah, right on, Steve. Hey, I wanted to bring up a point. All my uncles, I had 4 uncles that fought in Vietnam, and I saw what happens to the people that came back from Vietnam with the no respect and the spitting at them on the tarmac as they came off the plane.
That's horrible.
When they entered the United States.
That's horrible.
And, it was one of them wars. I don't know how old you are, but it was one of them wars when I was a young kid. I used to watch every night all the Vietnam people getting shot up, all the Americans getting shot up.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a war that was a political, and it was fought back in the desk of Washington, D.C. When you had the Viet Cong at night to go back across Laos every night at the border, and then we couldn't attack them. They did that every night for how many years? Mm-hmm. And they wonder why people didn't like the Vietnam War. I understand what happened, but you know what? If Donald Trump didn't want to serve in that one, that was a war that didn't have any good win for the United States.
And listen, I understand what you're saying, but that's not really the point I'm trying to make. There's a lot of people that disagree with that war. In fact, I disagree with the war in Iraq. There's a lot of people that served, that fought the war in Iraq when we should have been going after Osama bin Laden. There were no weapons of mass destruction. But guess what? Many of those people still served. Many of those people were heroes and are still heroes. So while I understand what you are saying, Brady, and I get what you are saying, the point I'm trying to make is that he dodged not just the war in Vietnam. He dodged serving, period. 257-5396. Jim, you're next. Jim, what's up?
Okay. I am very upset listening to all this going on today. I was drafted. I didn't want to go to the war. I disagreed with it. However, and I have many friends that avoided the draft, and I don't mind it. They were in college, they were doing whatever, they got deferments. What Trump did, not only did he use his ball spurs, but his second year that he had it, he didn't need anything. I think they had the draft and the lottery. His number was like 350 or something out of 365 days. He was never going to get drafted.
So, let's just say,
absolutely certain.
I understand, Jim.
Certain, so use the ball spurs too.
So you're okay. I want to make sure I get your opinion right. I don't want to put words in your mouth. You are okay with the president of the United States. He's the president now. I know he wasn't back then. Dodging the military, making something up about bone spurs. This is verified by the doctor's family. They came out with this. You're okay with him that, and then being asked, about serving. He says is he made up for it by funding the military.
No, you're completely misunderstanding me.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with people that were in college, and some of them joined reserves to avoid the draft and other things.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
The fact that he used bone spurs to avoid it, he needed that 1 year.
Right.
He used it 4 years. The other 3 years, his draft number, they came up with the lottery.
I understand. Yes, I understand, Jim. So
what he's saying is that Trump was just very fortunate.
Right. Okay.
He was not going to get drafted.
To an extent, I agree with you. But I believe that if he didn't bring up the bone spurs, I believe he would have been drafted.
No, was the number 350?
So you don't think that you're saying you don't think there was any chance that he would have been drafted if he didn't bring up?
No, nobody with a draft number that high got drafted. It was a lottery.
Okay. All right, Jim. Listen.
They drew numbers. Everybody had a number. And
I understand.
Days of the year.
I understand what you're saying, Jim. And listen, I appreciate your service. Thank you for the phone call. We appreciate it.
Thanks for the call, Jim.
257-5396 is the number to call. Neil. Let's go to Neil next. Neil, what's going on?
Brian, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just tuned in. About the lottery, it was only 1 through 50. I don't know if the previous caller mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, only 1 through 50 were, eligible to get called or were within range. Anyway, I want to talk about the war hero, Mr. Mueller. Okay, he's a war hero and a crime fighter,
and
he's a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes, he is.
I want to know about those 10 spies that he indicted. I think they're make-believe people that Andrew Weissman created out of thin air.
Well, what I can tell you is that
I don't think they exist.
I think Robert
Mueller.
Mueller.
I want to see the evidence, Mr. Mueller. Please show me the evidence.
Okay. First of all, I don't have a lot of knowledge of what you're talking about, but I'll say this about Robert Mueller, and many Republicans and Democrats say the same about this man. He's a good man. He's an honest man. I think
all I could say is that the fact that he says he's a Republican shows how deceitful he is.
Why would you make that gross assumption? How do you know what his politics are?
You tell me.
You think he's a Democrat? Where's your proof he's voted Democrat? Do you have any proof of that in the voters box, what his voting record is?
Why declare yourself a Republican?
Why think he's lying? Why declare that he's a liar?
Brian, one other thing. He put, during his presser, he constructed a written, designed, by design statement.
Why are you going after a guy that served this country honorably and he's done a fantastic job?
Let's scrutinize his background. I think maybe he deserves to be.
You haven't said anything that would lead me to believe he's done anything wrong. You have zero proof.
See the evidence of these
All you say is you want to see the evidence, but you have no proof.
I think they're make-believe, pretend people.
I think you're coming up with make-believe stuff, thinking that he's not a Republican. Why would the man lie?
Let's see their names. Let's see the aliases they used when they were here in the country.
I mean,
what were they doing? I want to know what they were doing.
What do you think? What do you think Don Jr. was doing in that meeting with Russians?
That was a nothing.
Okay, so you're on the right? You're a Republican, right? You're way on the right, correct?
Believe it or not, I'm a registered Democrat.
Okay, well, I don't believe you. I don't believe you, Neil. I think you're lying. Just like you think that Robert Mueller lies, Neil, I think you're a liar. I think you're a Republican. Because I feel like
I'm in favor
I think you're a liar, just like Robert. I think you are further to the right than anybody imaginable. I think you've never voted for a Democrat, and I'm just going to make gross assumptions, just like you make about Robert Mueller. What do you think about that, Neil? Is that okay?
I want to see his evidence.
I want to see evidence from you. Show me evidence from you that you're a Democrat. Show me. I think there are 10 spies living in your house.
I want to see the tangible evidence.
I want to see evidence that there are not 10 spies living in your house, and I want to see your voting records. I think you're a big right-wing Republican. What do you think about that, Neil? How do you like it?
You're wrong.
wrong.
Well,
All I
you know
say-
what?
all
You're
I
wrong.
say is
You're
that
wrong. You know what? You're wrong. End of conversation. If you want to make gross assumptions about Robert Butler, I'll make you sound like a moron, and I'll make gross assumptions about you. One more quick call. We only got about a minute. Marge. Let's go to Marge. Marge, what's up?
Hey, Marge.
Well, given the significance of the day, we'd probably all be speaking German if everybody had the attitude back then, 75 years ago. You know, given that it's D-Day tomorrow.
I'm sorry, Marge. What'd you say? Say that again.
I said, given the significance of the day, we'd all be speaking German if everybody had the attitude that Trump had.
Yeah,
you know?
well, that's true. That's
tried
true.
To dodge it.
God
I mean,
forbid if there's ever a war in China, trust me, I hope that doesn't happen. It's too far away. So, you know, all the men and women, they'll just
Well-
use that excuse, I guess, right?
And the other point here is, what does he want? Does he want, you know, to have the war in New Jersey because it's closer to home or something like that? Come on, you know, this is ridiculous.
He preferred a war in Georgia,
Yeah, it's just so ridiculous. It's
but not
unbelievable.
civil.
Hold on, that calls for
He just wanted the United States to host a war.
Mr. Trump, what do you think about Marge? Never
I
forget
love the
7-Eleven.
toy.
Yes, exactly. Marge, that's a good point. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that
Marge,
we have a president.
Stop supporting the ridiculous toy.
It's so ridiculous that he thinks funding the military makes up for not serving. And then I got people calling in saying, well, you know, he would have never served anyway. Then why did he bring up the bone spurs in the first place? It's ridiculous.
And funding the military, he's sitting behind his nice desk in a very comfortable chair. I mean, that's really a lot of hard work to do.
Yeah,
you know?
I guess if he had his way, he certainly would have served if the war was 45 minutes away. You know, maybe just outside of Manhattan, maybe he would have fought a war. I mean, just what kind of leadership are you showing to the brave men and women, or even a young kid, 16, 17, 18, that's thinking of serving? What kind of leadership qualities? What kind of example are you setting? It's insane. It's insane. All right, we got Michael Avenatti coming up here in a few minutes. What would you like me to ask him, Marge?
What's the status right now as far as all his legal issues?
I will ask him if the last week, how's it gone the last couple days,
Yeah.
and I'm sure he will answer that, Marge. And I always appreciate it when you call in. Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
All right, we'll take one more
Thanks,
call.
Marge.
One more call, then we're going to go to break. Let's go to Wilfrey. Wilfrey, what's up? Wilfrey, are you there? I think we lost Wilfrey. That's quite all right. All right, tell you what we're going to do. Michael Avenatti is coming up next. It's okay. Wilfrey calls all the time. It's all right. He'll live. He'll be okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. Michael Avenatti will be joining us next, and I want to talk to him as well about this new book that came out from Michael Wolff called Siege. Have you heard about this? Well, Avenatti's in this book. Some very interesting details, to say the least. So we'll get to Michael Avenatti coming up next. We'll take a quick break. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN, 20 AM, KDWN, 20 AM, KDWN, 20